Riley, thank you for that introduction, and welcome everyone who is joining us in this virtual event this morning on a forum to discuss the creation of an Inuit Nunangat University. This is something that I'm very excited about. I have been recently acclaimed for a third term as ITK president. I have 4 years now to work on a number of different issues. I'm hopeful that in these 4 years, we can see tremendous progress towards the realization of an idea that first was talked about at ITK in 2009 and 2010. At that time, Mary Simon, our newly minted Governor General, was president of Inuit Kanatami, and we were developing a national strategy on Inuit education. What we heard throughout the conversations with students, with land claim organizations, with Inuit across Inuit Nunangat and in the South, is that an Inuit Nunangat University was necessary to ensure that Inuit could go to a 4-year post-secondary institution within the Inuit society, within our communities. And this is an idea that then was put into the National Strategy on Inuit Education, which was released in 2011. This is one of the 10 recommendations that was in the strategy, and we have worked on and off on this concept since 2011. We've had a number of different focus group sessions talking about the idea of a university, but we've never had money and time to explore this in real depth. In 2017, the ITK Board of Directors approved a resolution for the development of a university, and they tasked ITK to lead the coordination and planning. We then worked with the Mastercard Foundation to talk about perhaps grant funding, and the Mastercard Foundation just this past summer granted ITK 1.475 million over 2 years to do the initial exploratory work towards the creation of an Inuit Nunangat University. We expect that we will have an ongoing partnership with Mastercard Foundation beyond this particular grant, but this money allows us to host sessions like this forum. It allows us to hire staff. It will allow us to engage with Inuit students and Inuit, no matter where Inuit live, about this idea. And it also will get us further along in articulating our vision. I've talked with a lot of people about the idea of a university, and it's really important for all of us to come to this particular table with an open mind. Please do not think about the university in relation to provincial or territorial aspirations for universities in the Arctic or in the North or in Inuit Nunangat communities. There will always be many different educational opportunities along the educational continuum, including a number of different ways in which to imagine universities and what universities are for. So the ambition for Nunavut to transition some of its college operations into a university, that is a separate but welcome opportunity than the one that we are discussing here today. We are imagining that Inuit could create a university, create the governance of that particular structure, create the specific degree programs that will be offered, choose the location of this particular institution, choose the way in which we hire professors and all teachers within this space. We can create an institution that imagines the best of Inuit knowledge combined with the best of the pedagogy of a university degree. There are a number of things that I personally hope we can explore further and come to consensus on. I think one of the first big things is what this university should be and what it shouldn't be. We already have an institution called Pikusereuvik. It's in Clyde River, and it is specifically for Inuit cultural and societal skills. It's meant to be a higher learning facility, but it is very particular in that it is only Inuit knowledge and Inuit societal knowledge and Inuit skills that are taught. This institution may have disciplines that overlap with the very specific nature of Pikusereuvik, but I would imagine that this is going to be an institution that could have disciplines that are transferable between Southern institutions and Inuit Nunangat, this Inuit Nunangat University. I also imagine it to be a post-secondary institution, being in line with the way in which universities require secondary school degrees in order to access their institutions. I also don't think that it is going to be an institution that only Inuit can attend. I would imagine this university is run by Inuit as far as who's governing the institution, who decides what disciplines are offered. But just like any institution of higher learning, you can have a group, a community that has decided the governance and the program, but then it is also a welcoming community to whomever might best be suited to learn in this institution. If you think about universities across North America, some were founded by jurisdictions, by states, or by provinces or territories. Some were founded by religious institutions, Catholic communities. I think of Jesuit communities in the US. Thinking of a number of different types of universities that I have either been on the campus of or have read about or have friends who have gone to particular institutions. There are many different communities that come together to create a university. This is not a new idea when it comes to the formation of a four-year university that's operating under the control of a particular community. It just so happens that we have never tried this before. And that's the exciting part, is we've heard Inuits for so long say that we want learning opportunities in Inuit Nunangat. We know so many barriers that exist to Inuit attending university. We also know the cultural and the societal stress that is put on Inuit who often have to go to Southern Canada and into institutions that are not familiar with Inuit, and communities in which you undertake your learning program that also really don't have much of an understanding of you, your language, your communities, and your societal knowledge. That's what we're hoping to upend. We're hoping to create this opportunity, and it doesn't have to be huge to start. I think of the university in Greenland, that's campus is in Nuuk. I think that only started with 2 disciplines and 4 professors and a handful of students. And now if you go to Nuuk, you can see that it has a number of buildings, it has residences, and it offers a number of different disciplines that you can study. So I see no reason for us to imagine that this would have to be 15 disciplines and 100 professors on day one. We can decide how we grow, and we can also think about what matters most to us. I think it's also really important to get out of the immediate human resources needs and get into the actual learning environment and what we want Inuit society to learn and explore. There are always going to be plenty of opportunities for Inuit working through, especially provinces and territories, and the labor market to ensure that there are fundings for specific degrees that link with natural resource development, just as an example. Organically, Inuit may choose disciplines that then Inuit could then go into those fields. But we are in a very fortunate place that we don't have to be led by any one interest group about what program we need to offer and what reason we need to offer that program. Obviously, we want Inuit to be well employed. We want education to link with employment. But there are a large amount of universities that operate in North America that create a foundation of knowledge that then students and graduates from these institutions use no matter what field they go in. And so I want people to think of this as an open space where we don't have to compromise on what vision that we want or the disciplines that we want to pursue based on prevailing political or economic interests. I know this might feel very idealistic, but some of the best schools in the world are liberal arts institutions that give a broad foundation of knowledge to their graduates. And I don't want to discount the value of a broad foundational base of understanding of the world and a way to understand how to do research, how to problem solve, how to do critical thinking on a wide variety of topics, and then focus on one particular major, rather than going to school for one particular thing and that particular thing alone. These are my ideas. These are my thoughts. This is not me prescribing any solutions or any decisions onto this forum or any other forums. I am in many ways just like all of you. I am excited about this idea. I want to talk about it. I want to pursue it. And I also want to have that critical conversation with anyone who has other ideas that deserve to be brought to the fore at this point and deserve to be considered. Inuit will be the driving force behind the creation of this institution. We have to be. That is the only way forward. We will take help from wherever we can get it. So that does not preclude support and advice and ideas that come forward from anyone with knowledge globally on the way in which to create something like what we're trying to create. I encourage all of you to think about your experiences, think about the type of institution that you might imagine for Inuit in Inuit Nunangat, and bring these conversations to this particular forum in the best possible way you can. We want to discuss things like educational philosophies. We want to understand more about how to support students. we want to understand what you think about academic programming. We want to understand how language and Inuktitut fits into this space at all. How do we create something that is inclusive, that is supportive of Inuit identity and culture, and is strong in its academic program, that also understands where Inuit are at this point in time and the unique challenges and barriers that many Inuit face. I hope that that in the medium term, let's say in 5 to 7 years, that we can realize this dream, that there will be an Inuit Nunangat University, and it will be an option for potential students who want to study a particular discipline and want to do so in an Inuit community. The idea that I'll finish with this. There's been a lot of talk about virtual universities and in relation to physical universities in a particular place in the world. I think it's very important for this institution to have a physical home. I also think it's very important that we choose that home very carefully. There's nothing like being a part of an academic community in a particular place. I know virtually you can approximate that as well, but some of the great conversations that happen on campus, in a community, on the land, it's hard to replicate those in a virtual space. Even this particular meeting, I wish I was having it in front of all of you, and I could see the reactions and the concern on people's faces, or the nodding and appreciation for the concepts. So I think that we don't have to sell ourselves short also on what's possible from a location space. And we will have to figure out what's best for everyone. But I do hope that we keep an open mind and not close doors just because we don't necessarily think that it might be possible today, based on finances or based on other factors. Thank you so much for participating. I look forward to hearing what the results are of this particular forum. I encourage everyone to stick with us throughout this process. This is the first step in many to really get to work on this. So good luck in your conversations today. Thank you so much to Riley and Erica for hosting this and for doing all of the legwork on ensuring that everyone is able to have these conversations. And have a great couple of days.